Joining us now is Democratic Congressman Stephen Horsford of Nevada. He is the chair of the Congressional Black Caucus and a member of the House Armed Services Committee. Chairman Horsford, thank you for coming in with us in studio today. We appreciate it. I mean, you were just at the Capitol, literally around the corner.
Yes.
You were in the chamber tonight, obviously. The Congressional Black Caucus members were all there out in force. How do you all think the president did tonight? Did he meet your expectations?
He met the moment. He centered the American people as the reason that we had this incredible comeback from the pandemic and the economic downturn. He talked about the historic job creation that has occurred, the fact that we have historic unemployment in Black and Latino communities. We have created more than 14 million new small businesses in just the last 3 years, led by Black women and Latinas. This is a historic comeback, and he centered the people. That is what I've been asking the administration and this president and vice president to do. We did this. The American people did this. And he also talked about the possibilities of what more we could do. I was so pleased that he focused on housing and the fact that that is so important to building equity, building wealth, closing the racial wealth gap. He talked specifically about ways that we could have pathways to home ownership, reducing the cost of rent, addressing homelessness in communities. But he also challenged the American people that we have to come together and that there was a clear contrast between those who want to build up our country versus those who want to tear it down, those who want to build up communities, those who want to tear it down, those who want to bring us together to solve problems versus those who want to tear us apart. And I think now the American people have a clear contrast in November.
Well, one of the contrasts that the president sought to draw was between himself and his former predecessor on the question of Obamacare. I want you to take a quick listen to what the president had to say, and we'll talk about it on the other side.
Folks, the Affordable Care Act, the old Obamacare, is still a very big deal. Over 100 million of you can no longer be denied health insurance because of pre-existing condition. But my predecessor and many in this chamber want to take this prescription drug away by repealing the Affordable Care Act. I'm not going to let that happen. We stopped you 50 times before, and we'll stop you again.
I appreciate the callback reference to whispering BFD in former President Obama's era there. I also appreciate the fact that this is firm ground for Democrats, and it puts Republicans in a really untenable political position where Obamacare has proven to be politically very, very successful. People like it. It is my understanding that this is part of what we're going to see the president leaning in on, this question of Obamacare and the question of reproductive rights in the next weeks and months.
As it should be. We have a choice between President Biden and Vice President Harris, who are fighting to give access to health care, expand coverage, reduce health care costs, cap insulin at $35 a month, cap out-of-pocket costs for seniors at $2,000 a year. We're trying to, he talked about expanding those benefits for more Americans versus Donald Trump and the Republicans in the House who want to take those benefits away. We're talking about protecting a woman's right to make her own health care decisions about her body, or a family's ability to have a child through IVF. And the other side wants to take that away. They want to deny women the freedom to make decisions about when to start a family or whether to start a family. And that is going to be centered. I love the fact that the president said to the Supreme Court justices, you are going to find out just how powerful women are at the ballot box this November.
That's the mollywop I was talking
about.
The
mollywop. Yeah, that was a good one. I like the mollywop. So Congressman, I want to sort of focus a little bit more on a bit of an internal problem. Coming into tonight, the president clearly had some issues with progressives in his party. 100,000 Michiganders had a different perspective on his leadership around the Middle East. But he came in and he started punching folks in the gut, and certainly took some well-deserved shots at my party, but also I think had some clarifying moments for someone in his own party. Do you think he started to scratch the itch for some of the more progressive members in the House who have been at odds with his leadership on a number of fronts? But even beyond the House, out across the country, Democrats, particularly young voters, who look at his leadership and was like, no, I don't want a piece of that. Do you think he started to scratch that itch to say, yeah, maybe I missed something about this guy that I underestimated or didn't understand?
Well, he clearly talked about the fact that he is on the side of the American people, that he's fighting for them every single day, despite the obstruction from Republicans in Congress. We have a conservative, ideologically driven Supreme Court who is taking away fundamental freedoms, fundamental rights. Now they're trying to take away economic opportunity. From everything from being able to have access to capital to eliminating student debt. Despite that obstruction, the president has found ways to still deliver for the American people. More than 3.5 million families and students have student relief debt, over $140 million. That's central to the issue. Yes, there are difficult issues, particularly around international affairs. But what I appreciate about the president is he spoke directly to the Israeli government and to Netanyahu to say, yes, you have a right to defend yourself, but you also have a responsibility to protect innocent people in Gaza and in the Palestinian area. Mm-hmm. And that is an important issue that people care about. We are seeing the images of the destruction of lives and people, and that is something that we have to hold Israel accountable to as they defend their right to exist.
Definitely not a conversation that is going away. Mr. Chairman, the Daryl George, young man out of Texas who has been suspended because of the way in which he has locked hair that is cornrowed back, and he was suspended because of his locked hair, because his hair violated a policy. He was the guest of the Congressional Black Caucus tonight. We heard a lot of nods to civil rights, voting rights tonight. Today is yesterday, I guess. Today is now Friday, y'all. Anniversary of 59th anniversary of the actual Bloody Sunday. That day on the bridge, John Lewis and others on the Edmund Pettus Bridge. You all commemorated that this past weekend. Do you feel as though the pieces of the speech about that, like we heard a little, I don't think I heard the word DEI, but it was nodded to. Do you feel as though that the president effectively spoke to those pieces tonight? And what more do you want to see in this tour that is going to be launched from the president, vice president, cabinet secretaries on down?
Well, I was honored to have Daryl George and his mother in the gallery tonight as the guest of the Congressional Black Caucus. This is an 11th grader attending a high school in Texas who is not being permitted to attend school. He's actually an in-house suspension because of the style of his hair. They're more concerned with what's on his head than what's in his head. And we spoke to him, a number of members spoke to him and his mother. It was a very emotional meeting because it really goes to the essence of they're trying to break this young man's spirit. They're trying to break him down. And we talk a lot about the prison, the school-to-prison pipeline and the need to disrupt that. And really what's happening right here is unconscionable. I am calling on the Department of Education to intervene on this situation, to make sure this young man returns to school, that he receives the education that he is entitled to under the law, and we are going to do everything within our power. Yes, there are other issues. They want to ban books. They want to ban bodies, and they want to now ban locks. They're more concerned with controlling people than they are with giving people freedom. We do have more work to do on protecting issues on diversity and equity. We have more work to do to ensure that the economic tools that have helped create wealth, particularly in the black community, in business, are upheld. That's why I've called on corporate America to affirm their commitments. I'm pleased at the work the administration is doing, but we have more work to do because we're not going back. I'm going to be absolutely clear. The predecessor to this administration, Donald Trump, wants to take us back 50 years. We just commemorated the 59th anniversary of Bloody Sunday. And as you walk over that Edmund Pettus Bridge and you remember our late Congressman John Lewis and the other foot soldiers who marched with him, they marched for voting rights. They marched for freedom and for opportunity. And those are the very things that are now under attack, they're under assault, and there are certain people who want to take us back. We want to move forward. There's some people who want to tear down our communities. We want to build them up. And there's certain people who want to divide us. We want to bring people together. That's the choice that's on the ballot in November. I thought the president did a great job of laying that out. Now the American people have a clear choice, and we've got work to do to make sure they understand the importance of their voice and being heard at the ballot box.
Chairman of the Congressional Black Caucus, Stephen Horsford, thank you very much, sir, for coming in tonight. Good
Glad to be here.